Yep, just feeling it.
All right, folks, we are live. And, the nature of this ritual is that things are kind of running around as they are, which is fine. All of our guests are not even here yet, which is also fine. That's kind of just how this ritual is going to go. So for people tuning in, I just want to say up front, in the live or in the future, if you're watching this about 3 minutes before the ritual itself starts, viewing the ritual counts as participation. If you do not want to be part of that, please do not view this ritual. The thing about stories is that listening to them is participating in them. This is a storytelling ritual. If you don't want to participate in this ritual, listening to these and stories as they are told, then please don't. There's no hard feelings. We will catch you next time. No big deal. That doesn't make you a bad person. If you want to come back and listen later at any point, that's perfectly fine. Don't feel bad about it. But if you listen, you are participating. That is the nature of the beast with this. So, warning said, we are in sacred space. And you can't see it. There is a fire next to me.
Here,
yeah, we can move it.
Don't worry, I got one.
Yep, we've got sacred fires all over. So, all right. Back and me and Jason have already been drinking. It's fine.
We've all been drinking.
Yep.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Cheers. I fucking get the gentleman's jack open.
Oh, you have made a fantastic mulled wine for this whole.
I'm really glad.
I am.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Skull.
We're glad to see that you are not just here, but also got your candle going to add to the sacred fire.
Fantastic.
It is the night for it. Also, this is also as a heads up kind of announcement before things like officially fully get started. Not the whole ritual. The after party will likely go until sunrise because it is my longest night vigil. Jason is here with me as well. And so we will be holding vigil all through the night. Hey, Indy. So, the ritual itself will not go until sunrise, but the after party might, depending on how things go. Indy is here with us. Indy, just so you know, the ritual warning has been given and the sacred space is set. Yep, you should be feeling it right about now.
I've been rushing around and making sure everything's set, so
yep.
I need a moment to make sure I feel it. Oh, I didn't even put my necklace on yet. Dang it. Okay.
Yep. Look, take your time. There is no rush. There's no pressure. This is the nature of this sacred space is that it is very freeform and come and go as you please and need. It is a sacred fire that you are meant to be able to get up from if you have to go to the bathroom or go eat or just leave.
You're here for the next 12 hours, 16 hours.
Exactly. I will be here for quite some time. So, that is kind of the nature of the beast. There is a good chance that I will take a nap at some point. That's how things go.
Is it a vigil if you take a nap?
Huh?
Is it a vigil if you take a nap?
As long as someone is tending the fire, it's still a vigil. At least as far as I'm concerned.
One person staying up for the whole vigil, normally not recommended.
Yeah.
16 to 18 hours of being awake makes you not a great guard.
Yeah. I've done it before. It's not fun.
Care of the firekeeper is just as important.
Yep. If you hear the voice in the background, that is Kat Blackwell, who is here and has contributed actually the opening story. Not on screen.
I know. Hello.
But is not on screen. But yeah.
Also, my wife is here.
Yes, Corinne is also here.
Loot into the ether.
Yeah, we are waiting on a couple more people before we officially get started. If folks have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to hit us up in the comments. Otherwise, we'll get started official proper in a few minutes. If folks actually want to introduce themselves, I'll start. Hi. If you're new here, I'm Maleck. Pack Tradition Initiate, vaguely heathen. do a fair amount of story and myth telling. That's enough things, I guess. Yeah, like, I don't know. I've got a lot of relationships. Naming them all off would be
Fair enough.
lengthy.
You could at least tell your most recent.
Yeah, come on.
Oh,
yeah, but you gotta have an important one.
which one? The one where I got married or the one where I died?
After you died.
The one where you died would probably be the most recent, though. You should
Also, that one
probably
needs
talk
to
about
be
your
your
wife.
priesthood.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I am God spouse to Angrabotha, and am initiated now into a priesthood for prayer, which is actually a big part of the vigil for me because his mythic cycle for me involves him beginning his return to the land of the living on longest night, which is not longest night, but we're observing tonight because modern life means I can't observe on the 21st sometimes. So
That's fine.
He's fine with it, so that's what matters.
Exactly. You do your dib and everything's fine. It's all good. And also, there's also very little to say that everything was performed exactly on time forever. So it's fine. Absolutely. Sure. God. But yeah, with then rest, that'll get into me. Hello, my name is Jason. I am a practicing chaos magician, an Irish pagan, and Hellenic polytheist. I specifically spend primarily focus on working with Dionysus and restoring relations. However, I have also recently started working with Osiris and Chiron, which has been Chiron and Chiron, and that has been just wonderfully fascinating. Yeah, really, I guess that's really most of my association kind of wrapped up in a nice little bin. Yeah, I just recently got done celebrating Saturnalia.
All right,
which has been, which was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Despite getting sick midway through it, it was still very rewarding. And it's nice because Saturn is not someone who I normally work with too often. Particularly that face of Zeus. I really don't work with Saturn all too often. However, it was quite nice. For those who do work with Saturn, I completely understand. Guys, genuinely very, I won't say relaxed, but he's very much so chill. He's easy to work with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Particularly when it comes to like home and hearth.
Yeah, no, that tracks a lot.
Yeah, very, very home hearth. Who you are, where you stand. As long as those things are kind of in line, Saturn is great to work with.
Very nice. Indy, you up for an introduction?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Indy. I am also initiative of the Pack Tradition. I at this point mostly follow kind of my own set of unattested deities called the Wanderers. I'm I think closest to them. I becoming sworn to the Singer in Silence and the Player with Light. I have written some like self-published ebooky and mythy stuff about them, and I have a little circle that we do with some folks local to me in Seattle, where we honor them and the animistic spirits of the area.
Very nice. Oh. Sarenth or Cat next? Y'all pick.
Sarenth is a co-host. They should go first.
Shouldn't we bookend with co-host though?
Yeah, I think so. So, Cat, you're up.
Oh.
We're even going to.
We're gonna spin it here. I got
that. No.
Yep.
You're fine.
There you go.
Rude.
And naturally have hair in your mouth as soon as you go to talk.
I inhaled coal and ash. I don't know how that worked.
I genuinely do not know how that worked. This is literally coal and ashless flames. There's 2 candles and an alcohol fire.
Hi, Cat Blackwell,
That's
also
okay.
Black Cat 88. Dirt road pagan as far as most people are concerned, because I don't have a pantheon that I work with specifically, as I'm getting stared at.
You're forgetting a thing.
What am I forgetting?
Initiate?
I'm initiate to pack. I didn't forget. I'm getting there.
Okay. I was like,
It works in with the
well,
stuff.
yeah, sure.
I also am a Fey practitioner and work very closely with Carnonis, Caradwin, and recently the Morgue.
Morgue.
Yes.
It's what it sounds like.
Morgue.
Also,
Sarenth's turn.
sure. Also the first firekeeper for Pack Tradition, but you know we're just gonna. It's fine.
I never know how much information I'm allowed to give on that one.
And if you saw
think you are.
the person working on arts and crafts there, that's my wife.
Yeah.
That is Corinne. She works with Boss.
Currently floor goblin.
She works with Boss, and I have never been more told to. Let me put it this way: I get the easiest readings from Boss.
Mhm.
Go away.
No, make sure she stays on track. That's it.
Yep, that's a reading.
It's great.
All right.
Cat working with wizardry.
What?
Melkor said, "Cat working wizardry for you managing to get ash in your mouth despite."
We don't question it.
Yep.
Look,
I just accept it for what it is and go on with my life.
Oh
Sarenth having issues?
no, it's fine. It's just the stream.
Oh, it did do a thing. Hold on.
It did a thing. I went to a split screen for whatever reason.
There we
we
go.
Replay it.
There we go. I probably hit a button. That's almost certainly my fault.
That sounded better. Trackpad fun things.
Yeah.
In any case, Sarenth, who are you? Sarenth?
Where are you?
No,
He's-
Sarenth is there, but muted.
Yep. Give us a second. No worries. It's a freeform kind of night.
Mm-hmm. Yes, also, hello, Cookie, Emily, and Destiny. Hope you all are having a great night.
Indeed. Thank you all for being here. Very genuinely. I certainly appreciate it.
Reattaching headphones.
Sarenth is reattaching headphones. Look,
That is completely fine.
Yep. tech problems are tech problems.
Tech problems are tech problems, and tech problems manifest.
No kidding. You mean getting Sacred Space involved fucks with tech? Like, look, the Dresden Files are fiction, but also tech problems occur with an alarming degree in Sacred Space.
Mm-hmm. Alarm to Sacred Space, and also just like there are some people that have a natural EMP.
Mm-hmm.
And also they have arrived. It is Finn.
It is Finn. Finn has arrived. Hello.
Hello, and welcome. But yes, there's a natural number of people who are predisposed, I think, that have the more natural EMP.
Yeah.
And then there are people that once the actual practice happens have an EMP.
Yeah.
Because like I have a thing of making electronics work at a higher capacity after starting. Well, because I just output.
Yeah.
You've been around me. I fucking feel like a furnace after doing work.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
So it's there's just a natural way of electronics are just sensitive to magic. It's very fun.
Modern magic meets old magic that
Yeah.
you just don't.
I
coincide.
am kind of curious how much of an interlay of like mechanical instrumentation
Is just fighting against.
is fighting against it. Yeah, I would really love to see like what happens when like an old-fashioned loom meets magic outside of a magic carpet.
I think that's a Freya thing.
Well, it is definitely a Freya thing. It's a Freya thing. It's definitely an Athena thing.
Very well. That's what the blue thing is for.
And it's really just like I love the idea of mechanism magic. I know someone who is I know another chaos magician that works with cars, and
The term technomancer comes to mind.
well that's what they identify as. They identify as a chaos magician technomancer.
Yeah.
And it is amazing what they can do with a computer. It's amazing what they can do with a car. I'm getting an alarm. Of course, there's a talking about this sort of thing. That's hilarious.
Did I ever tell you about my Technomancer interactions when I went to Convo last time?
No, you did
Okay,
not.
so I went to Convo the last Convo I went to before COVID had happened.
Okay.
I was the only person who managed to buy their ticket online and pay ahead of time.
The only one.
Yeah.
That's great.
But like it gave me you're not supposed to have that option.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't reserve your ticket. Like you can.
Oh.
Eventbrite had a hiccup, but I was the only one who had it happen to them. So by the time I got there, they're like, "Oh, you're the one who broke it.
Oh, fantastic.
Here's our Technomancer. Deal with them."
Good job.
All right, so my earphones are finally back the fuck in.
Welcome.
Welcome indeed.
That took too much damn work.
Sorry
okay.
about that, but yeah.
Last minute tech issues. So part of the issue is that I think the contacts on this particular USB weren't fully clicked in. So they're charging, but when they lack charge, they vibrate your whole head because they have audio. They have
Haptic feedback.
They have haptic feedback, which is great when you're video gaming, but not so great when it's trying to tell you your battery's low.
Beep, beep, boom.
Oh no, it doesn't beep. It just shakes your whole fucking head like you're in a
Oh, fun. It's just the low bass.
Yeah.
Great.
So blah blah blah
I hear
blah.
your eardrums.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. So you want to introduce yourselves before we get started? There are other people who may join as we're kind of jumping in. But let's get Sarenth introduced and then jump into the thing, and they can join as they wish.
Oh, hey, beautiful people. I'm Sarenth Odinson. I am a heathen spirit worker, Galdraman, Saith worker, Saith mother, spa mother, you name it. I'm probably doing it. So tonight I'll be telling the story of the Icy Jotnar, and it is a kind of a just so story that I was given to write. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you all.
Me too. And you shared that at Troth thing, right?
I did. So especially for folks with kids who don't have like a variety of stories, we told 3 different stories.
Hi, I'm Sarenth, and the answer is yes.
Not when it comes to astrology and not when it comes to hermeticism. I leave that to Cabra and Snow.
Hey, I will just say I am recently reading a book that is about Keran.
Oh yeah.
Ferrymanship, and who is attributed as a contributor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I
intentionally, by the way, like didn't know that. I did not know that.
Wait a minute. What the fuck's Sarenth doing in here?
Pretty much. I believe I was helping Sarenth with some tech stuff, and Sarenth was like, I think I had something to do with that. I think I may have contributed a single piece. No, the entire midsection of the book. Like
Did I?
20 pages.
Way to downplay the situation.
Oh shit, I forgot.
You contributed 4 distinctive, impactful prayers.
Fabulous.
That moment when have I written for this book is a valid question.
Yep. Let's also introduce Emily Streaking Fate, who just joined us. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, and then if everyone's ready, I'll get started with the opening story.
Hi, I am Emily Streaking Fate. The main pantheons that I work with are Heathen and Kemetic, and I help out in the background with a lot of... Sorry. Pack is getting the short end tonight. I am also an initiate in Maleck's Pack tradition. To quote Kat, though, it is like blind everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
Pack gets its hands in everything, and most of, if not all of my deities have had their hands somewhat in my pack work.
It's very much a module.
So I'm going to use that as my excuse.
You're not wrong.
Again, I love the term dirt road pagan. That is a real good.
I need to
synopsis.
introduce you to Aiden Watcher's stuff. He calls himself a Dirt Road Sorcerer or Dirt Road Magician.
I really
forget
want to
which.
meet this man
Dirt
just to
Road
be like,
Sorcerer.
Yeah,
he's
he's
my
funny.
kind of
He's
dude.
hardcore Chaos Magician in like our vein. It's really
Oh.
good.
so like
Yeah.
a
And
long-
it's Chaos Magician hype. Let's go.
So like a long time ago, the term eclectic became bad. You couldn't use it without getting like
Eclectic's a great term.
now, but like back in the day, you got side-eyed real bad if you used that term.
Nah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
like the
I
90s and
stopped
early
using-
aughts.
Oh.
I stopped using that term
See,
because people
I'm really-
started to associate it with bad things. So I use Dirt Road Pagan now because I'm very much just making
am
my own.
so glad, like Maleck, that you and I came up through
We-
Chaos Magician work that was just fully animistic, fully much so. Hey, you will find what works for you, and it will work the best as long as you keep good relation.
Yeah, and we also missed just so much drama that
I
he threw in the
know!
early aughts. It's really crazy.
It's really entertaining.
Youngins.
Well, because you know,
Right.
Because Maleck's working on writing a book. I'm in the editing stage of writing my primer, and there's a lot of stuff that's like that's for beginners, and I'm just sitting there going like, is it?
Is it though?
Is it though?
Meanwhile, Streaking Fate, Sarenth and I are sitting back here like back in our day.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Because just because you and I came up through we got thrown into some stuff that we probably shouldn't have until we were a little deeper in. It happens.
You were in just as much as you needed to be.
Exactly.
Head first.
Exactly. But then there's also the aspect of like, it's like, well, this is for beginners. It's like, I don't know. I learned this like weeks in.
Yeah,
Like
week 2.
I had journeyed before
I'm
this. I
just
had been so horrendously
sitting here.
exposed to things.
Pinching the bridge of my nose, going, "Oh my gosh, oh my god, these young people."
Yeah. Really quick before we get too far afield. Before we get too far afield, let's get to our first story.
Yes. So, Kat received this story
Like a week ago.
a couple weeks ago, intending to do something else, and received the story and was like, I don't know what this is for. And I was like, oh, I know what that's for.
Yeah, I was attempting to write a story to contribute. Instead I got an intro and was not allowed to write any further.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be spoken. It can't be written any further than where it's written.
Exactly. So I'm going to read the written portion, and then we'll see how things go. So, I don't remember where I heard this story, or even if it was a dream, or perhaps a memory from a lifetime ago. But a traveler was making his way between towns. He didn't have much, just enough supplies to make camp once it got dark. He settled down, building a fire within a break in the tree line, creating a soft glow in the copse of trees. So here it was, the man sat, humming quietly to himself as the sky grew darker. The fire crackled. Night fell. And then people stopped by. Odd as it is, one by one indeed. And some of them, most of them, were human shaped. Whether or not they were human is, well, not a question he asked. You don't ask those questions in the woods. And frankly, it doesn't matter. When you share the fire and you share stories around it, so long as you keep the peace, all is well. And this is where our tales take place, around that fire, which is every fire, with those people who are all the people, with those stories, which are all the stories. These are those stories. Whoever's next, please go for it.
All right. So this is the Ice Jotnar, and this was given to me when we decided we were going to do this show, and when the Troth approached me saying, "Hey, could you please contribute to our Yuletide storytelling. And I went, great, cool. I had nothing until about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks before broadcast was due. And I went and just blitzed this out in like a night. So I really want to first hail the sons and daughters of Niflheim, hail ice itself, hail Yokel, hail Snare, hail Frusti, hail Ymir, hail Kari. Hail, elder ancestor, hail Mikkel Isvitir. Hail, Isvetir. Hail to you all. Let's do Heil.
Vestuail.
A long time ago in the land of Niflheim, the world of ice and fog, there lived 3 Jotnar. Now, Jotnar are Vetir, spirits, and are a lot like us. They get hungry. They want to make things, and sometimes they want to change things. For the longest time, Niflheim was covered in ice and fog. That was it. The places where there was ice, closest to the Genunga Gap, the great void of creation in the center of things. The fog, which was closer to Muspelheim, the world of fire. Kari, the wind, had 2 children. They were Frusti, who was named after frost, and Yokel, who was named after glaciers. Kari did as adults often do. He took to walking around and talking a lot about all the important grown-up things he had to do. But indeed, Kari did have a big, important job. He had to take the winds of the great eagle, Hreisvelger made, and give them to all the worlds. The 2 brothers determined when they grew up, they wouldn't just walk around talking about what they did. They would make people wonder and talk about what they did. For a long time, the 2 brothers were at a loss as to what they could do. Frusti could climb well and go almost anywhere, but Yokel moved very slowly. But Yokel was big and strong. But Frusti, he would melt quickly, so the 2 tended to stick close together. Still, something had to change, and they both knew it. One day, when Kari went on another one of his long talking walks to go work with the eagle, Frusti had finally had enough. Something had to change. So they dug into the ground. It was frozen, and there wasn't much to change there. So they looked afar, and they saw great icy mountains as far as the eye could see. They had no hope of changing those mountains. Feeling despair grow, Yokel had an idea. I can't walk with you, but if you take a piece of me, maybe you could get cold enough and stay cold enough long enough to ask Nifl for help. Now, Nifl's name means fog, which is where Niflheim gets its name, Foghome. So Yokel gave Frusti a chunk from each of his legs to keep his brother walking. And so Frusti walked, and walked a long time. And now that he was walking, he could understand why his dad went on about how long he had to walk. On and on he went, time out of mind. He was walking, keeping just cool enough with his brother's legs so that he didn't melt. On and on he went, walking slowly to the edge of Niflheim, past the mountains to the warmed edge near Muspelheim, and it became very misty. So misty he could hardly see, and he almost walked right to the edge of Niflheim itself. Finally, the mist parted, and a great Jotun made out of fog walked with a younger one. Frosty had made it to Nifl, who lived in this foggy, foggy place. Frosty called out to Nifl, and he replied with a wave of his billowy arms. What brings you out so far from home, Frosty? Are you walking with your father? Asked the massive Jotun. No, said Frosty, shaking his head roughly. I came because I want things to change. There was a twinkle in Nifl's eye, and he gave Frosty a broad smile. Well, I cannot help with that, he said with a broad sweep of his hand. I have to stay here and keep up the fog. Frosty's heart sank. He had walked all this way, and for nothing. My child, however, can. They too have been looking for change. With a wave of his arm, he brought his child forward, about Frosty's age. This is Ski. The fluffy Jotun nodded to Frosty and gave a smile, a much smaller smile than their father had given, but warm. I'm looking for a change too. I am tired of all this fog, said Ski with irritation. Well, my brother Yokel and I are tired of all the ice we have to put up with. Maybe we can make some changes together. So Frosty and Ski clasped hands and began to run back toward Frosty's home. See you later, Dad, called Ski as the two ran quickly out of sight. They ran into the mist and through the fog, and Ski got bigger as they went through it. They ran past glaciers and around mountains, and Ski got bigger as they went with them. And finally they came to the flat, icy plain of Niflheim, where Yokel was waiting, waving his great arms at them both in hello. And when Frosty was close enough, he took off his brother's legs and handed them back. Thanks. They took me a long, long way. Yokel put his legs back on and flexed them in big, sweeping motions and stopped dead in his tracks on seeing Ski. Who's this? Asked Yokel in wonder. This is Ski, Nifl's child. They're looking for things to change too. Silly, laughed Ski. I've changed, haven't you seen? It was true. Ski was big, almost as big as their father and quite puffy. When my dad makes fog, he dances, Ski said. And when our dad moves the winds through the world, he walks, said Frosty. Then I have an idea. I think I need just a bit more help, and we can change things throughout all Niflheim. So Ski took hold of Yokel's hand and then Frosty's hand, and together they began to dance in a circle. They began to rise and rise, each of their arms going higher and higher and higher. Finally, Yokel's arms were beginning to stretch too much. Oh, I can't go any higher, but I can let you dance with some of me, he said. And Yokel took icicles from his brow, and he gave them to Frosty and Ski. And they laughed as they took the icicles from him and rose up into the sky away from him. Frosty found himself getting lighter and lighter, and Ski got even larger as they danced. And Ski began to let down great fluffy bits of white from their body, and it fell slowly at first, and then it picked up speed as they danced more and more. It was Niflheim's first snow. It was white, fluffy, and it blanketed the great icy plains. It blanketed the great peaks of the glaciers. It came down in the mist and made big, billowy snow drifts. And they laughed, dancing with Yokel's icicles all over Niflheim. When they had finished dancing, very tired, they came back to the ground, gave Yokel his icicles gleaming with snow, and all of them slept. While they slept, proud of his sons and Ski, Kari began spreading the snow for the first time throughout the 9 worlds. It snowed on the halls of Asgard, home of the Aesir. It snowed on the fields of Vanaheim, home of the Vanir. It snowed on the forests and mountains of Jotunheim, home of many Jotnar. It snowed on the trees of Alfheim, home of the Alfar, the elves. It snowed in many places in Midgard, Middle-earth, our world. It even snowed along the great entrances of Svartalfheim, the land of the Dvergar, the dwarves, and Helheim, the home of Hel and many dead. And it snowed on the edge of Muspelheim, the land of fire, and little bits of water sizzled as it melted. Ski, Frosty, and Yokel had done it. They had brought change not only to their world, but all the worlds. They had brought the calm of snowfall and the zaniness of the winds that blew it. They had brought the merriness of winter when we gather to keep warm and share stories. They shared the calm of cold that gives rest, just like they had slept when they finished dancing. So thank you for the first snow, Ski, Frosty, and Yokel. and for all the snows since. That's du Heil.
Best do I.
We've got an in-between bit as soon as Kat is done writing.
Yeah, just my back page.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's how this is gonna go until I have to go home.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's the case. And I'm pretty sure I'm just going to take over when you do.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Sarenth as well because it's
Yeah.
it's reminiscent of like a few things, and I want to
absolutely. It wouldn't take long for someone to approach the fire. A traveling teacher of sorts. May I share your fire, share your light for a time? Of course, said the traveler. Do you have anything to share in return? Not much more than my time and perhaps a story, offered the teacher. Perfect, responded the traveler. Stories are important. And so the teacher sat and soon began his tale of the giants and the shenanigans of two brothers, the story of the first snow.
I like to point out that it is a full moon tonight, and it is right there.
Oh, yeah.
In perfect view of your window.
Of course. Would you expect any less? Yeah, for those wondering, it is in fact the full moon tonight, the 26th.
Horribly.
Yeah, it hit like 3 minutes ago. I think it hit its maximum full. So
Yep.
Naturally.
Just over the
Nice
line.
timing, Maleck.
If I might offer a really quick prayer to Mani.
Yeah,
Go right ahead.
So when we see Mani and our family, we offer this little prayer. Hail Mani, god of the moon. Hail Not, goddess of the night. Hail the star people. Thank you all for watching over us. That's du Heil.
Best do I.
I was brought into the teachings of who the star people are by an Ojibwe friend of mine, and so they became incorporated into the night prayers.
Good.
Yep. What were you going to say, Jason?
So, my wife and I have been watching through recently the old claymation.
Yay!
Wow.
They were very big for us growing up, and we realized we end up buying like all 16 of like the classic 18. Excuse me,
There's
18 movies of the Robin and Basque movies.
Oh, the Rankin Bass movies? Yeah.
Rankin Bass, yeah, all of them, all 18.
They're all on YouTube for like a 2-hour and some time stream for free. I know, that's great. I'm just letting people know who don't have access to that they are all free currently.
We've been
On
recently
YouTube.
watching through this, and so we recently watched the Frosty the Snowman and then Frosty and Crystal movies.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that I can go like, I have just seen these movies. If I remove the veneer of Frosty,
Yeah.
I love how similar these stories are.
Mm-hmm.
And not to do like they're the same story.
No, but I get it.
No, it's the other.
It's more along the lines of like this
They're doing
idea.
this. Yeah.
The idea of this is just so pervasive in the human experience.
Yeah.
And it's just a really wonderful thing. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a beautiful thing about storytelling in general is we can reach across from great expanses and we can touch each other's hearts and souls. And all we have to do is bring a story to tell around the fire.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And like Rankin and Bass is very Christian. Very overtly Christian. And that's okay. I have nothing personally against it, but I understand that that's not everyone.
I have a problem with how the Jack Frost one ends, but that's just me.
It's fair.
Yeah.
There was one that I remember where it was a very, very pagan retelling of how Santa Claus came to be, and I can't remember which.
Yes.
Yes. Santa Claus coming to town.
Yeah.
No, the Life and Times of Santa Claus or something like that.
Yeah, where he's like
Where he's raised by forest
spirits. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, even Santa
Old Man
Claus coming to
Winter.
town, it's about the fact that he's coming, that he interacts frequently
Well, because
with the spirits of nature.
There's two.
Oh, there is another one.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on CD3 of 5.
Yeah. Where is Santa Claus, or Santa Claus is the year without Santa Claus? That's
Well,
the Meisters.
Yes, the Meisters,
Which is
which
currently
I had
stuck
never
in my head.
which I had never seen
Really?
up until this year.
Oh my gosh, Jason, you're missing a good one. I'm so glad you got to see it.
Right. But what I really love about it is that I can
It's yourself.
read,
Yeah.
like when I read through Sarenth's story beforehand,
That's fair.
the only thing that rang in my heart was like, this is a story almost of Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's distinctly not. But the
No.
feeling and sensation that I got from it was so similar.
Yeah.
That it filled me with just like this very much so,
like nostalgia.
nostalgia and
Yeah.
like better way of putting it, spiritual joy.
I'm so happy to hear that because the Frosty Jotnar don't get a lot of play in modern heathenry, and they really, really wanted me to make them a story that kids and adults could both like.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And I think it's really interesting to point out that Frosty in, I believe, the Heimskringla is one of the named Jotnar that kings are said to be descended from.
Interesting.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So actually, Frosty, Kari, and then Fornjotnir, which is said to be Kari's father, and I also believe the father of Logi as well. Yeah. Snare, I believe, is actually a brother or a son of Frosty. I can't remember which. And I think it also depends on what genealogy you're looking at.
Yeah.
But there are specifically ice-associated Jotnar, which are associated with kingship, I believe, in Sweden.
I believe it.
I would believe that as well.
Yeah.
Like it's very, but for me personally, like this was very much so a like. For example, like I don't have many roots in heathenry, like in my practice, but it still is something that resonated with me on a very touching spiritual level.
The inner kid in you just went, I know that one. I know that one.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I read through it and I'm just like, wow, I know that story. I know it through a different lens, but I know that story.
You know the bones of the story.
I know the bones of the story, which I really enjoy, and I think that's something that's very important in modern heathenry.
Oh, absolutely.
In this idea of the heart knows it.
Yes.
The heart knows it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too, to know, like, those of us who are, in this group nowadays grew up with these stories, and I feel like that's kind of part of our soul nowadays. It's like, no, this is a nostalgic thing for us. Like, we grew up with this. This is something that when we got older, we look back on and went, that's important.
Mm.
Don't know why it's important, but it's important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What am I say here?
We've got a prayer to a goddess of the moon that I'm going to post.
Yes, absolutely.
And in the meantime, do we have perhaps a wanderer with a story to tell?
You mean mine?
I mean,
if
there are wanderers here.
Sure. Let me make sure I have things ready.
Yeah.
It's either you or me, Indy. It's one of the two. And mine comes with a preamble, so.
I will go.
You need food.
All right.
Just to shut them
you pulled it.
Oh, sorry. We're discussing in-person logistics. Please continue.
Okay. So, this is a story of when the world was new, having found many wonderful forms to take, and yet still shifting and full of unknowns. In that new world, a group of wandering queer gods had found each other at the place where waters gathered, and other folk had found their way there as well, journeying from places where they didn't fit to a place where they hoped that they would. This is a story of when that town was just beginning, in the time that the wanderers and their people started to notice that the sun was going away. Every day, the sun would rise later and set earlier. Every night was colder and darker than the last. Plants withered with ice and snow covering the ground. The people began to fear that they'd freeze, that they'd starve, never being able to grow crops again. They turned to the wanderers, one after another, and said, "You are gods. Can't you make the sun come back?" But each time, whichever wanderer was asked would give much the same reply. "Just like you, we came here from places where we weren't listened to, where we were just told how to be. We won't command the sun any more than we would command you. Our way isn't to control, but to aid, and we will do all we can to help." All the wanderers made good on this promise. The hard-backed sculptor of pieces set paws to the forge, making lanterns and fire pits and beacon towers. The blaze winged, brighter with flames, kindled radiant fires in each of those and every hearth in the town. The fractal antlered dancer between moved in the town's streets and hearts, raising spirits and guiding everyone in ways to support each other. They and all the rest did their parts, all but the dancer's younger sibling, the quiet god who hadn't yet found a role or a talent or even a name, who kept quiet because every time they spoke, something came out wrong. All that one could think to do about the dwindling sun was to watch and think and worry. As things were colder and colder and more strained and fearful, finally the quiet one couldn't stand it any more and went to the other wanderers. "It's still getting colder," they blurted. "We have to do more. Someone should at least try to talk to the sun. All this isn't going to be enough." And as soon as they said it, they saw how the other wanderers reacted, and it seemed that this was once again the wrong thing to say, because everyone there knew it was true, but no one had wanted to give it a voice. "What else can we do?" came the replies, grumpy and defensive. "It's the sun. It's not like a person or a tree or a river that you can talk to. It's so far and remote and overwhelming. No one has any idea how to talk to it." I've been watching," replied the quiet one. "The sun glimmers as it touches the mountains to the west. Maybe we could reach it there." They paused with a faint smile. "And I have a lot of experience trying to get folk to understand me, so I might as well be the one to try to talk with the sun too." And before anyone had a chance to reply, the quiet one was off, a silver streak out of town, paws bounding through the snow as they left behind everything familiar and journeyed up into the mountains to the west, following the sun. For days they ran through snow and cold, going to that place where they saw the sun shimmer in the mountains at the west of the end of the world. And finally, as they got closer, one evening when the sun began to dip below the edge of the mountain, they saw a dazzling sight. The sun was lingering over an icy, crystalline forest, glittering with colors. The sun seemed captivated, reveling in the display it made as it dawdled over the shining, lifeless landscape there. "Sun, please, why are you spending so much time here? Back in the town, we need you. We'll be lost in the cold and dark without you. We'll starve." The wanderer was fearless in their cries to the sun because they knew nothing else. They were not afraid to be understood because they're never understood. They just spoke with their heart. And yet, the sun barely glanced back. "Well, look what I have here. Why would I want to spend more time there when everyone just averts their eyes and takes me for granted and sweats and seeks shade? None of it compares to what I can make here on my own." The quiet one stared at the dwindling glimmers as the sun retreated through that landscape of ice. Their heart was brimming with desperation and need, but having said all they couldn't find any words to express it. So that emotion just built and built until what came out of their muzzle was a howling song of longing and fear and cold, of all the work they'd done and how much they'd missed the light and warmth. Oh. They sang and sang, and the sun trembled, flickering with a moment of emotion. And yet, after that, its reply echoed cold through the icy spires. Even if that's so, why is it just you here? And with that, the sun continued on its way, sliding out of sight, its last shimmers fading along with the echo of the howling song. And that singer sat there alone, but this time there was no worry in their thoughts, because they knew in an instant what they had to do. They turned and dashed back down the mountain, singing out toward the sound the whole way, filling the silent night with the story of what they'd seen and what they needed from the wanderers and others in that little town they headed back to. They sang as they ran across snow and ice, night by night. Everyone who heard the song set to work all through the endless nights. The sculptor of pieces crafted even more elaborate places to hold fire, and the writer in flames created flames of countless colors to fill them. The dancer and the other wanderers whirled through the town, guiding everyone to gather together out in the streets, and the singer, still running in, sang out new songs for everyone to learn for their last desperate celebration. Finally, they returned to the town, but there the singer paused for only a few moments, taking time to hang some of those bright, colorful lanterns from their antlers, their neck, and their tail, before they dashed off again, this time to the mountains to the east, to catch the sun as it hopefully came back around. They ran and ran till they could finally see the sun there, still lingering over that barren, sparkling expanse, and called out, sang out, "Come see, if only one last time." And the sun could see, in the shadows at the foot of the mountain far off, the town filled with light and color, even more vibrant than what the sun could make in the crystal forest. The sun quickened just a bit to try and see more clearly. It urged towards the town, curious, listening, and could tell that the songs were for it, for the sun, for a place for it along with them. And so it slowed just a bit to better observe the celebration below. The town was filled with all the glow and warmth it could muster, the air ringing with songs of hope and thanks for the sun and its warmth, of all the folk there could do, and all they'd done, and all they could do in the future with the aid of the sun and its light. And so that night, the sun moved just a bit quicker, returning to see if the celebration was still happening. And of course, it arose again to see the wanderers and all their people still keeping up their bright celebration, even more joyous now as they saw the sun paying a little more mind to them again. The progress was slow because the sun was proud and stubborn, but the town kept that glow burning for days until they were sure the sun was really slowing down and staying longer. It was still cold, but they'd made a change, and that change made everything else just a bit easier. And on top of that, the celebration had brought the people themselves together, their warmth growing even as the sun's did. And in that gathering, the once quiet wanderer finally felt recognized and included, part of the town, as the community hailed them and named them Singer in Silence, the only one who'd be willing to call the sun and the city alike and bring them together to birth a new year.
If I could figure out how to unmute.
That's fine.
Thank you, Indy. That was genuinely beautiful. We have another in-between story getting written.
I recommend asking Indy about, or conversing about Indy's story first.
Yeah.
This might take
I mean, that's
a smidge longer.
Yeah.
hefty.
I like. Well, then
is.
I will ask Indy because I love hearing
Well,
about the Wanderers.
I know it. I know it.
All right.
And definitely, Speaking Fate can talk to more of this than I can because I've only just dipped my toes a little bit into cometicism, and I mean just like the barest of just toenails, like. Because that story feels very similar to the Ark story.
Oh, the
Like as
the
if you were
Ark of Ra.
yeah, exactly. As the Ark of Ra goes down and the humans stay here, as the humans stay here, Indy's story felt more tied to that.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's
Again,
interesting. Some of the context of it for sure is like I grew up in the desert, and a lot of my thoughts
really?
of this are connected to the desert and also to where I live now in Seattle, where it is very dark for a very much part of the year. I think both those together has caused my own kind of inclinations to be very solar focused. Our rituals are, our rituals. It appears like wheel of the year stuff, but it's really because like the solstices and equinoxes are like the things that really resonate for me.
Yeah.
And it's this wheel of like fire, this fire that's sort of growing in the beginning parts of the year to the names of the festivals are there's kindled fire, and then fire's gift and blazed tide at the height of the year in the summer, fire's need as it starts waning back down, fading fire in October, November, and then glow tide, which is this now, just those embers that are waiting to come back again. So yeah, there's a lot of the solar the solar vibes really important to me. There's the lunar vibes that have been sort of coming to me more recently. That's one thing I'm needing to explore over the course, I think, the next year is what the moon means in this whole thing. But yeah, that's where it comes from.
It's really interesting to me too, being in a place where the sun cycles do not match up well with the seasons, like at all, right? Like, the winter solstice, midwinter was 4 days ago, 5 days ago here in Michigan, and we are at the very beginnings of winter, frankly.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue to change as climate change does.
It is, yeah. I was going to say it's amazing how dramatically it has shifted in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Because at this point in the year, we used to be buried in fucking snow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's going to continue to change.
Well, that's
between.
There's a part of this that that resonates with me too. And there's actually what I'm talking about at Kindled Fire. When you sort of hoping starting to maybe feel a little bit coming out of it by the time February is rolled around. Like it's really like there's a lot of things in the acknowledgement of these of these stories is that like it's still hard. This is sort of getting you the warmth to get through the hard part. To at least know that like you're at least getting more sun, even if you're not getting more warmth, you're getting more sun, and that by itself is like something.
Yeah.
Well, that and like the thing I really liked about your story is the fact that I never felt hopeless in your story. There was always something.
Yeah.
The effective candle in the window. Like, oh no. Personally, I feel that like that's very important, and particularly on here in our celebration of the longest night as well. Like, it's the idea of that your hearth is there, your hearth is present.
Yes.
And yeah, things can get damn rough. Things can get rough. Things can get tough. But you know what? That sun's going to come upon that horizon. And, I have the comfort of not being someone who suffers much discrimination. And that is a comfort. I won't deny that. But I like the fact that there's still that glimmer there.
One of the things that comes up again and again in these stories, I think, is like the hardest thing to deal with is other people. It's the conflict.
Sure,
somebody said the conflict there, and the conflict. There's. I've now written like 3 stories that are different sides of this like event, which are how what the gods what the gods helped do before times, what it's like for the people in the town, and then how you sort of recover from it afterwards, right? Yeah. And in all of them, like the hard part is this to me, like the Singer in Silence really has this feeling of being neurodiverse, being one of those folks who like me sometimes the words are always coming out wrong, like the you're never quite understood, and being called towards talking to things that are not typically considered people is one of the really like meaningful like parts of that experience for me. And that's a lot of where that came from. And the there's this part in that about them being accepted like that, even if they're not interacting in the same way as everyone else in the town, right? And that's
Right.
where that's the other real part of it for me.
Absolutely.
And likewise, I mean, there's this, there's another version of the story I kind of told at our circle a few days ago, was this idea of what's it like to be a person in that town, like waiting for the gods to help and wondering what the heck is going on, and what do you do for yourself when it seems like God themselves are confused. And that's like another really vibe for this time of year too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. I believe that Shrieking Fate had something.
Yeah, let me share this, and then Emily, if you're good. All right. The story was indeed important, a piece of the teacher for the traveler to help share. The story ended, the two spoke of it, bonding over the shared thought. It was during this that another approached, this one with pause and a timid yet knowing, deeply knowing, smile. Do you mind if I join you? Asked the coyote. I heard your stories and have one of my own to share, if you would have me. Come, join us, said the traveler. All who wish to share and listen are welcome, please. Join us at this fire. Do not be afraid. The coyote joined the teacher and the traveler, telling them their own story of the dancer between and the singer in silence, and how even in the darkest nights there is hope. God damn.
I think that's true.
Right? Like
This
Look.
is my job tonight.
Look, Black Cat's job is essentially to build our own version of a nativity.
yeah, it's
Here.
just the meta narrative is
Yes, it is
just,
the meta narrative.
All right.
I believe a Shrieking Fate had
Yes,
something.
please.
It is just something little, but here it goes.
Yeah.
The fire is lit and they come, watching and waiting. They gather around, listening. The day begins, a glass of water, a sunrise, and they come, watching, waiting, listening. Eager to aid, but patiently waiting. The days pass. Grief happens and they come. Handkerchiefs in hand, they are ready to wipe your tears. Joy happens and they come. Sistrums and drums, flutes and dancing. It is time to sleep and they come. Watching, waiting, protecting. Hail to the ancestors of blood and bone. Hail to the ancestors of spirit. Hail to ancestors of lineage. Hail to the ancestors of all our lands. As we live, they come.
Better.
The blessed dead. They are listening. They are waiting. You only need ask. Hail to the ancestors. Dua aku.
Dwaku. Yeah, well, this is you. No.
I do have one to share. If there is a meta narrative in between, please.
No, I gotta think on that one.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to record that one.
Okay. We'll hold off.
That's underworldy. That's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jason. I should have given a heads up.
For those unfamiliar with Jason, Jason does not deal well with underworld energy at all. So
Look, as
Same.
far as all of my denomination reads, I'm on one side of that particular river.
I'm so glad to hear someone else say that. 'Cause same though. I've got dragged down the river just for the sake of leading folks to it, because I got it's important to do fading fire stuff with the ancestors, but it's not it does not come natural to me.
Yeah, for myself, I deal with ancestor work in a very specific manner. All my ancestors are typically considered in one, and we do that through meat and butchery. That is this very specific field for myself. When it is that beautiful, but that raw, I wig out. There's no in between. I have gotten a lot better with it. Still not the greatest at dealing with it.
Yep.
It was beautiful, Emily.
Very
That was
It
a
was.
very
Thank you.
beautiful
Yeah, thank you.
story. And it was so beautiful, it hurt my heart. So I'm going to relax, and I was going to do mine next. I'm not doing mine for a hot second.
I've got it. You're gonna want to shield up for this one. This one's
With that,
Well, damn. I had to run upstairs real quick to go take care of my youngest. Of course, it was during Emily's.
Yeah,
of course.
naturally.
well, don't worry, she nailed it.
It was.
I mean, it's Emily. I'm not shocked.
It was genuinely a beautiful prayer to. What is the term for the ancestors in Cometicism? I'm unfamiliar.
The Aku.
The Aku.
The Aku.
Yeah. Well, is it all right for us to move on between meta narrative?
Mhm.
Okay. If everyone is all right with it, then I will.
I have to message him.
Okay. There is debate on whether or not this one can even be shared, so we'll continue on. And I will go with The Sun Returns, part of Freyr's mythic cycle with me. Freyr had enjoyed his time in the mound. It was warm in the dark, and though it was indeed very dark, there was warm food and good drink and loved ones all around. The ancestors, for they were ancestors now, not just the dead, were joyous in the presence of their king under the mound. Fires burned late into the nights, and the days grew longer and longer under the mound. And Freyr's holy blood soaked deeper into the well-sated earth. And yet, despite the loved ones he had missed so dearly all around him, as the days reached a crescendo under the earth, a longing slowly grew in Freyr's heart. For not all those he loved were here with him. He missed the cunning laughter of his sister and the soft touch of his partners. His law had been set, reset, here among the dead. And they welcomed him for it, abiding by the wisdom in his voice and choices. But Freyr looked around himself in his nights of drinking and storytelling, debauchery and wise counsel, and he saw reflected in the eyes of some others around him his own longing to be among the living again. He remembered his promise to return to the living with those among the dead who were truly ready to walk among them once again. But Freyr was a wise king and knew well his duty. And so he called council and gathered his people around him once again, as he had done before he journeyed into the mound. And he asked for their wisdom to alloy with his own. There was distress from some of the ancestors, for they would miss the shining face of Freyr, his laughter and presence among them. But these looked at the longing in the eyes of their fellows and remembered their own days under the living sun, and they relented. As the solstice approached, preparations were made. On that day, with preparations made and those of the dead ready gathered around him, Freyr took up his crown and his mantle and his walking stick. And looking out of his kingdom, he saw that it was dark and the path was lost, truly lost in mist and shadow. And some of those traveling with him despaired, How can we find our way back to the land of the living? Surely we will be lost and wander, restless and hungry, among the mist and the shadows of the wilderness with no light to guide our way. But Freyr looked again and saw, far in the distance, the twinkling lights of fires. Fires large and small, bonfires and hearth fires and candles. Small votives lit for ancestors and stoves lit to feed families. Bonfires lit for celebrations and candles that brought soft joy. Look again, said Freyr. There are those that wait for us still. They light fires and wait for the return of the sun. The journey is long before us. This is true, but they hold vigil. For our sake and for their own and for their fellows, there are those who hold watch through the long, cold night. They will guide us home. The journey was set, and so they continued. Night after night, they traveled with the sun. The nights grew longer under the mound, and each day their journey grew shorter. Both the time they could travel, as the sun slowly crept back to the world of the living, and the journey before them, slowly the lights grew brighter. But brighter they grew. Laughter was not common among them, but it was there. And soon they began to feel in their fingers and their toes. And they realized life was among them again. And the journey ended, as it does every year, here among us, as those among the dead come back to us, living once again, whether there in the faces of our children or just beside us as we sit. And the sun returns with them, guiding their way out of the dark and into our lives. Thank you for your journey, for seeing our lights and joining us again. Hail to you, holy ones. Promise to keep us all. Rest to Heil.
Best to Heil.
I was not expecting to cry for that. Okay. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to cry, but there you go. All right.
Speaking of gifts, I really quickly just wanted to show something off because it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
This was gifted to me by Brandon the Bull.
Oh, that's cool. What's it made of?
I believe this is birchwood, but it's sealed.
Okay.
It's got my name on the outside, and it's got Tivas, Lagus, and I believe the younger Futhark of Ansu's on the inside, which is the mark on the bottom here. Or it's Nauthies. I can't recall which, because I don't know the younger Futhark very well. But I just wanted to show that off. Speaking of gifts.
Finn says, me either. I've been moved to tears twice tonight. Look, Freyr's son. That's a Freyr myth. You're gonna cry. It happens.
Yo, that was really, really good, Ulfkin.
Also,
for sharing that.
Melkor says, you're going to make me cry and we'll have to fight. Look, you can kick my ass whenever you want. That doesn't stop me giving you homework. So, you know.
Also, Sarah, I also got a gift from Brandon the book.
You got a stick?
Oh,
I got a stick.
Brandon makes fantastic sticks. He
He
really
does.
does.
He does. It's not quite complete because it's getting my Theresis for Dionysus. So it's not quite done yet, but
Still, that's amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
So
May I share?
I think we should bully Brandon the Bull into opening up an Etsy or something because
honestly really should.
That, and also we should have Brandon on the show.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I mean, is there a better death worker?
I don't know about better. He's quite good though.
Yeah.
And Destiny B says, I've been crying since Indies. This one didn't help. I'm really glad people connected with that story.
I mean, honestly,
I haven't been crying, but I've been like vibing this whole time really hard.
yeah.
I cannot remember her name. What is her
Chris
name?
Ashburn.
Thank you so much. Because she has done some bang up work. But Brendan's cemetery work is some of the craziest shit I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Can I share a gift too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not made by Brandon.
That's fine.
From one of my housemates. Let
Brandon
me
show
see if
up
this is
hour.
going to show.
Ooh.
God, just spilled on me wax. It is a lantern.
They made you a fucking lantern. That's
They did no,
awesome.
they found it on Etsy. They didn't make the lantern.
That's
It is
awesome.
from Etsy, but it is perfect for my Wanderer's work because there's a lot of that. You know, there's the lanterns in the story there. The one I work with, the player with light is really sort of connected deeply to light and color and glass lantern. You know, there's a one of the
There's a glass lantern, right?
yes. Sorry.
I've got a prayer to the Way Watchers later on that's going to make that lantern shine.
Oh, good. The thing that like one of the things where the player with light, and maybe this sort of speaks to why that's my vibe. Can I read just one like little line from the
Hell yeah, absolutely.
This is from the end of a story that's really talking about, you know, finding identity and crafting yourself. And it says, are we not all glass lanterns, handmade as well as we know how? Our radiance shines through, and nothing is a flaw or an imperfection or a mistake. All of those are the things that make our light more intricate and glorious and unique. There is no wrong way to make yourself shine.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, the idea of having this lantern that's made of like, you know, sculpted glass like that was just kind of super, super duper perfect.
Yeah.
And I was really overjoyed to it's probably altar centerpiece at this point, really, once I put it all back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That or spotlighting it, one of the two.
Yeah. Oh no, I can knock holes in this building. Yes, I'm gonna hang it. Thank you.
Hey, my altar and my wife's altar are also highlighted by a lantern. I'm just saying.
That's a great idea.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm tickled pink. I love that. I love that, isn't it?
Really good.
Thank you. I can share the Etsy shop where I got it, I guess, too. Where they got it. So.
I mean, not my show, but
yeah.
Maybe throw it in the comments if you can.
Yeah, I'll throw it. Yeah, I'll yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. Really well made and nice and so pretty.
Also, yes, Melkor said, Maleck, it's story time, not homework time. Leave me be. Never. Stories are homework. If you thought otherwise, you have not read any of the myths I've written.
I've been given too much homework, I don't think, from yours.
Yet.
Look.
I was gonna say, give it time.
Look at you, right? But nah.
I was gonna say that is a challenge. You spoke that out loud.
Look, if you don't, you know, are you familiar with the term jinx? I'd like to be given a jinx, to call upon a jinx. I have always approached those, ever since my dad taught me them when I was little, with the idea of if you don't charge directly at it, you won't know if it's going to come back to bite you in the butt or not. And if it bites you in the butt, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay, because I'd much rather just blame myself for my own. Well, I bit the bullet on that one, than to have never bit the bullet in the first place.
You know, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh, look it! I know there's going to be work eventually.
I was gonna say, you know me well enough.
I know you well enough. I know Black Cat well enough. Trust me. I know that Fey wave's coming for me eventually, and I will continue to ignore it until I can whistle at night no longer.
I like that you winced immediately after making that statement.
I am aware.
Finn said,
See, exactly.
Finn said, nope, drinky time, no homeworky.
Drinky time, no homeworky.
I like that.
You realize that I pray to the alcohol spirits every time we do a show.
Look, it. I have actively endorsed you to make an alcohol spirits book. How many times?
It's next.
Uh,
It's next.
Yeah, we're working on it.
I
It's
know.
fine.
I know that I'm getting to a point where this is going to be harder for me because I'm forgetting letters.
Jesus.
Look, okay. Black Cat writes in increasingly beautiful cursive.
The drunker I am, the prettier it gets.
It's really weird. You know that's weird, right?
Also,
So I really quick.
yeah, please.
So the Skith Blathnir server does a gift exchange, and I got Link of the Bard this year, and they sent me a tin of chocolate as the first part of this gift, and then they sent me this.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, has that got the
Fantastic.
lightning etching on it?
And it's got brass rivets on all the sides of it.
Oh, it's so cool.
I've been meaning to show this off for a while, but I thought this was the entirely appropriate audience. So
That is
Look at that.
fantastic. That is amazing.
y'all should feel the energy going through this thing.
That feels
Holy
like something
shit.
that could split the earth. I love that.
Right? Also, Destiny, nope, sorry, wrong comment. I've been drinking. It's fine. Destiny B says, Melkor, your spinner story in Discord gave me homework. So, you know, first of all, yes, I'm not surprised. That story nearly brought me to tears. Two, turnabout is fair play. Like,
I mean, that is that fair.
turnabout's fair play. Like, you know. All right. Are we close or do we need a minute before our next meta piece?
You should grab some food
Well,
and
yes.
water, and then I will be done when you get those things.
All right, fine. Y'all continue.
Go ahead.
Frail earthly needs.
Sucks having a mortal coil.
It does.
Oh, okay. I guess Indy looked back.
What's that?
Oh, and Indy gave what I thought was I want to speak, and then hippity
Oh,
hoppity.
that was me. I also want to go off camera.
Okay, that's cool.
there
I
you
just
go.
wanted to make sure that you were heard if you wanted to talk.
Nope, good. I'm good. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I guess I'll give everyone good if I give my first piece.
Please.
As long as it won't fuck with the meta narrative, but I think.
I mean, it just means there's going to be a longer meta narrative to read after.
That's fine.
All right. So the preamble for mine is I don't know how familiar people are stories with the story of Gaia and Erebos, those who came before the Titans. For the
Something like we're not.
Okay, pretend like we're not. Okay, absolutely. So at one point in time, Gaia and Erebos were intrinsically entwined. At one point in time, the sky and the earth were together in harmony and in reproduction with one another. They did not and could not be separated. Now, there's a degree of which Gaia would ask for calm and Erebos was horny. That was not so great, but in general, this was the case. And then the four first sons of Gaia, during this one of these times of rest in Erebos, wishing more, came to the defense of their mother and separated the sky and the earth, creating a division between these two. Now, under the initial assumption, this was to be a temporary measure, one that could be met periodically. However, the sons made it quite keen that these interactions were to be kept brief, much to the chagrin of both Erebos and Gaia. And that leads into my story that I called Reaching for the Sky. Land looks to the sky. A quiet longing stirs within. The sky is alight with twinkling stars, spinning and shooting, dancing in their eternal ballet. The land wishes to dance. It wishes to be amongst the stars and join in revelry. The land can feel the beat, the pulsing, pounding promise of a forgotten song of the universe. That song is still played in the sky amongst the stars, and the land craves to hear it once more. Finally, when the land cannot take it anymore, it lunges. It reaches for the sky with all of its might, knowingly mighty as it is. It can see the stars more clearly. It can hear the beat more clearly, but it cannot join them. The land has stretched. A great mountain now stands in memorial to its valiant effort from the land to once again reunite with the sky. From this mountain, sky reaches down and over so often embraces the land. Gentle fog blurs the line between sky and land, once again united. They dance and sing, obscured from the rest of the cosmos. But the fog clears, the union ends, and the land, now closer than ever, and yet must yearn once again to be amongst the sky and hear the song of the stars. And that is my little story.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mother Gaia has been someone that I've been working with somewhat relationship, and I've been also trying to work with Erebos a good bit. That was something that I feel they wish to be shared. Now, geographically, we may know how mountains are formed and whatnot, but
Mythic truths do not negate scientific truths.
right, and I think the important thing is to remember is that the sky and the land are, while separate, they are lovers, ultimately in the end.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that one seeks the other. Whether through positive or negative means, I'm not here to say. I have attempted to learn linear alphabet B, and I am fucking horrible at it.
To be fair, that's would be termed advanced study.
Yes. But from the translations, this is the story that I feel wishes to be told, and it holds close to my heart as someone who does Titan work and things of that nature. It is definitely something that felt important.
Right. Deep breath.
I know, it makes me sad.
It's a night for sad, hopeful stories.
I know, but it still makes me sad. Like Gaia and I like Erebos. I wish I could put them both in the same room. Then other people get cranky.
All right. Are we ready for the
This, to clarify, this starts after the telling of Indy's story.
Okay.
All right.
So backtrack slightly if need be.
Yeah, we'll rewind time, tell the bit, and then move on.
Meta
'cause,
stories be weird like that.
Yeah, that's how it is. The three talked of the details, weaving the story into their hearts to carry on. In woods nearby, spurred on by the stories carried on the embers and wind, a mother wolf howled. Her sound was a prayer to all those who heard, human and non-human alike. A message from ancestors to remind them that they are ever present. The listeners breathed, taking in the message, thanking the wolf mother for her own bit of heat and heart. Apologies, heart and story. I'm terrible at reading cursive.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. That's a comment for the listener.
I mean, to be fair, it is very nice cursive.
It is very nice cursive. I'm just awful at it.
No. I just mean like that is. I mean, shit. Shout out to the camera. Like that is genuine cursive.
It is. Oh yeah. Let's see if the camera will pick that up well. Not super well, but there you go. That is. It's very genuinely beautiful cursive.
My print is illegible, so that's as good as it's
No,
gonna
no,
get.
it's not.
That's amazing.
My print is. My cursive is readable.
Well, your cursive is beautiful.
So, apologies for the kind of out of sequence meta narrative, but that would be between the meta narrative between
Indy and then my last
Indy
story.
and Indy
Yes.
and Emily,
Oh,
That's
excuse me.
Street
Yeah.
Fates.
and then between Emily and my story,
Oh goodness.
a priest approached. Damn it! I'm
Yeah.
fine.
You need me to?
Nope,
That
I'm
hit a
good.
bit.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine. A priest approached next, led in by the special magic woven by the stories. I too have one to share. Come, priest, we would love to hear you. So the priest sat and spoke in reverence of their God, of the journey and cycle of trust and companions. Gonna make me cry.
I got you.
The group shared tears with the priest, reflecting on how all their own journeys brought to where they are now. Yup.
Ah!
And then between my story and Jason's, the herald came next, drawn again by the power pooling in the growing camp. He told the tale of love, of sky and earth, who all know the tale deep in their hearts, by different names perhaps, but the tale is known. And each sang their own at the end, perhaps silent in their hearts. And perhaps howled out in the distance. Somebody's next. Who's next?
I mean, Finn's asking if anyone wants to share the poem story I've placed in Discord. They're more than welcome to read it live. I'm just
I got you, Finn.
All right.
All right.
Got it.
I just gotta find where the fuck you put it.
This is the herald. My goodness.
Oh yeah. Did you feel that drop like a stone?
Yeah. Well, look.
I'm not wrong.
No, you're not, and that is my working with Dionysus. So, you push.
Ah, here we go.
How did you know?
Here we go. Are you ready?
I'll go probably.
It's very slightly dry. So grab some juice.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead. This is from Finn Freyerson, written after a trip to the sacred grove in the Astral. And it started off like everyone, but it was guided to the second path, the woodland path, and met many of the truths around the sacred fire. The woodland path. In the whispering woods where ancient secrets reside, I tread the sacred path with reverence and pride. Beneath the canopy where sunlight dances through the trees, I find solace and connection as the wind whispers the mysteries. The woodland path calls with every step I take, guiding me deeper into nature's embrace. The rustling leaves, the gentle sway of branches above, they guide me to the wisdom of the ancient grove. Amidst the emerald hues, a sacred fire burns bright, casting a warm glow, illuminating the night. It dances and flickers, an eternal flame of old, a symbol of transformation of stories yet to be told. In the embrace of the woodland path and sacred fire's light, I find solace and healing, a connection so bright. For in this sacred space where nature and spirit intertwine, I am reminded of the divine and the magic that's mine. So let us walk together, hand in hand, on the woodland path where enchantment expands, and by the sacred fire let our spirits ignite as we honor the wisdom and embrace the druidic light.
I said, oh, I'm muted. I was literally about to ask Melkor. The spinner can be shared if y'all are feeling it or need a filler. Textile magic, even in story form, is meant to be shared. Maybe.
I'll say that, not with the commission.
Hang on. I got you.
I would love to do hers.
Mayor's first or Melkor's first?
Malfoy's first.
Melkor's first. All right. You or me, Sarenth, for Melkor's?
I don't care. Pick one. I'm fine with it.
Or Emily, do you want to share first?
It's your call.
There's
I can
five.
go whenever.
Let's do Sarenth first with Melkor's.
Mhm.
Then Emily, then we'll move on from there.
All right. Let me get a drink in me.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of which, to my wonderful partner, if you want the last of this Caruvo, the time is now.
That's it. I have some rum chata, so if you want to finish off the Caruvo, that's okay.
Oh, speaking of drinks, Indy and/or Sarenth and/or Emily, were y'all able to do the story spinner drink that I?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think?
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't have dark. I didn't. Sadly, I drank. I planned poorly and drank all the last the mulled wine last night. I gave the household a gift, bottle of the Viking blood, Dansk mead. So I used some of that, which isn't particularly dark mead, but
It
so
would
good.
work though. Like
Yeah.
Well, I can attest to it. It's delicious.
Jason
It is
said it's
delicious.
Yeah. I am finding it particularly potent in drinking sipped before I tell a story because it's doing its job.
I'm trying to be careful and keep it so I still have it for toasting, but I keep sipping on it, otherwise too. So
Yeah. It's a good drink. I will say Jason almost choked the first time he tasted it because he forgot that I make drinks that way.
It is 3 Maleck strong for those of you who measure in Maleck standards.
Yes, it is 3 Maleck strong, and it's almost Jason level dry.
Yeah.
Goes real good with some mead, though.
It does. The mead.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The mead helps it a lot.
All right.
The sweetness of a mead does help. Yeah. Sorry, Saren, please continue.
You're cool. I just had to get some water. Hey, and this is for anybody playing along at home. Please, for fuck's sake, make sure you get some water.
that. Also, for those wondering, the stories who are not from those of us here have been shared in the Storytelling Fire channel on the Discord. That will be open until January 31st. Please feel free to continue to share. That said, Sarenth, please continue.
All right. This is from Melkor, Spinner at the Wheel. In a small room at the roof of existence sits a spinner, their long, crooked fingers guiding threads through a wheel created from the bones of the universe. To dare glance up at the source of the thread is to find a dense mass resting in amongst the rafters of the room, a trapped thundercloud veining with streaks of violent lights racing to and fro as its edges press up against its prison. So long as the spinner works, drawing off the seeking tendrils to bring down to the wheel, it is unable to escape. I create possibility from raw chaos. The spinner will speak in a soft voice. Each turn of the wheel brings part of the chaos down to the spinner's fingers through the twisting pieces and then to rest on the bobbin. When you step into the room, the spinner will tell you to study the bobbins lying in wait. You must know how it works before you can watch or risk losing yourself to the wheel. To study the wheel, the thread is to see that even the oldest threads are still brimming with power. Do not touch them. Do not listen to the whispers from chaos to unwind them. Instead, turn your attention to the beads floating around the room like dust motes. There is an uncountable number of microcosms birthed, broken, and snuffed out under the unwavering gaze of the spinner's cataract-filmed eyes. Take note that one of them is more familiar than the others. A small blue orb flecked with green. When you have remembered who you are, you may look at the others, but not all. If one hurts your eyes or your heart or calls to you, walk away. When the bobbin is full, the spinner will take it off the wheel and place it on a set of hooks against the wall for their siblings. The weaver, the lace maker, and the deconstructor. In the time it takes for the spinner to change the bobbin, reset the wheel, and return to their work, chaos uses the opportunity to send tendrils to the floating world. This is as inevitable as it is necessary. Come, sit at my knee. Milk blue eyes will look to you when the new bobbin is seated. At their side will be a chair and a drop spindle for you. This is the foundation for which you will build from. Trying to speak, you will find the words don't come. Here in the room, the spinner, you are a student that must listen. Questions are for the siblings who take the bobbins to create their own facets of reality. Just as one must learn to crawl before they can run, You must learn to spin before you can make use of the thread. Learn your lessons well, for one day you will find yourself at the wheel with threads of chaos in your palms. And at that time, you must turn them into possibility or be lost.
Thank you, both to writer and to teller, as Jason chokes on the taste of fate.
I love that story.
To be fair, it's intoxicating.
I know, it's so well done.
Like, I want more, and I want to go do all the things right now.
Oh my goodness. Myself and Black Cat do a lot of fate-centric work.
In very different ways.
In very different ways, but both fate-centric. And this is just like the crack story.
I gotta take a step back. I'll be back later. I'll be back. That was a lot.
Fine. That's fine.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, I love that story, Melkor. It is just.
I'd like to point out, there is no candle left.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but it's still burning. Just
so,
fine.
for reference, if Jason
I
wants to spin it, there is a.
Look at that little guy go.
Yeah, you can kind of see in one of the actually candle lids. There is what was a candle and is now just a bit of wick and old tobacco for offering. That is burning in a pool of
Nothing.
discarded
Nothing.
wax. Yeah.
And it's troopering on.
Yep. And the candle beside it, it's just gonna keep going. On longest night, this is a thing for me where like candles that absolutely should not be burning still continue to burn on my longest night vigils. I will not be surprised if that continues to burn for hours.
It outburned the alcohol burner.
Oh
I
yeah,
know, it's great.
It's wild.
Also, Finn.
Absolutely love that. Great job, Melkor. And let's
From-
get
from
Melkor, the
Melkor.
authors. I gotta go sit on the floor. Turn back so much power into that.
Oh, Melkor.
I'm already on the floor.
Thanks. Yeah, nope, you're not alone.
Melkor, that's saying to the deepest parts of what I do practice-wise. And literally, both myself and Black Cat are just like, so is she going to learn your flavor of fey magic? My flavor of wind magic? Like, what's it going to be? Because, my goodness, we're both just sitting there like, yeah, sing it.
The
Sing
urge to call dibs.
The urge to call dibs is just like, my God.
I volunteer as tribute.
Exactly. Like, oh my good golly goodness. That is just so on freaking point as to what it means to be a fate practitioner.
There is a visceral reaction to that story, just with the description of the tools
I know.
and the rules that she lays
List
out.
out.
Don't touch this. Not telling you why, but don't do it. And we both know why.
And we both know why. Exactly. Even though we're different in how we practice fate magic, it is so accurate.
It's like,
It's so accurate. It sings. It really does sing
It
to a
resonates.
part. It resonates so well with what it means to be a fate practitioner,
yeah.
despite not really knowing if I don't really know if Melkor does a lot of fate work, but it's spot on exactly
Yeah.
what it means to be a fate practitioner.
Oh, I need my book back.
All right.
I need my book back.
There you go. As Destiny says, it's such a good story. I've been having so much fate stuff come up, and I do so much fibercraft. That's actually really common among a lot of people who do fate stuff, especially Satyr stuff.
To all the Satyr folk, my goodness, my heart that goes out to you. Also, the pot roast you made is just.
I'm really glad. It's
I
a
was
little,
wondering what you're eating.
but it's a huge roast. I had to cut it in half to make it.
I
fit.
know, but like breaking it apart is just so good.
Kind of hard to do pot roast badly. Don't know if Melkor does a lot of fate work. ... Yet.
Oh, that's a
I don't know,
strong yes.
Grotto.
Not yet, but I think fate work is coming for me.
Look at
In the
between
form
my
of one of us.
in the form of one of us, or both. No, look at all because my stuff doesn't jive. The Black Cat's or Black Cat's stuff doesn't jive with mine. Does not mean you can't bridge that gap.
Also doesn't mean one of them is not coming for you.
Oh yeah. Oh. Because my goodness, I have never felt so comfortable in a story.
No kidding. No, like I was like, well, that's a story. Thanks.
And when I read it beforehand, because Melkor posted this in the in Discord, when I read it, I was like, oh, that's the good shit. Hearing Sarenth read it, it's like, oh,
that's the good shit.
That's the good shit. Like that is just
We're not addicts.
no, not at all. Not at all.
Who needs drugs when you have real good stories?
I know.
All right, a little bit of meta narrative here. And stories continued to be shared, some retold in the absence of their original tellers. With each story told, the air grew more and more and more alive. Built from spoken word, memory, and friendship, new and old. Stories of creation, stories of names, stories woven by the night itself. Spoken word giving life and form to the core and soul of each of them, shared in these small ways with these travelers and wanderers and strangers. Stories and pieces shared, remembered, each.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the sheer, just comical sight of Jason getting lost in his hoodie.
No, you're fine.
I did. Well, my arm was down a path it shouldn't have been. Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I was like, it's backwards.
I got it. That's how I was it up. See, look, the path is not facing the right way.
Emily, do you want to go first?
Yes, I think I'm with you.
Sure.
First.
Yeah.
Okay. This may or may not affect Jason. I don't know. So just a heads up.
We're gonna just
Look, don't worry about me. I am half in the tank. I'm getting good food, and what can I say? I do empathic shit. It happens. It's fine.
This story is a nod to one of the Wanderers. So Indy can talk more about them afterwards if they would like. And there also might be the appearance of a heathen spirit as well. The painter in rust knocks. They are eager, I am fearful, but still I open the door and welcome in. I show them into my workroom and shed my clothes, revealing my skin and scars to their brush. I sigh, I breathe, and I allow their art to take over. Their paint flows over me, only touching the bits of myself that have already lived. Those parts who are ready to move on so that there may be space for the new. The rot eats it away. They paint me in ecstasy, scenes of joy, scenes of grief, scenes of life, the beauty of the piece peeling away what is no longer needed. My tears flow, helping it all to wash away. They paint me on the bridge of death that I did not have the courage to choose, but which I needed to cross. It is done. I am bare, and they bid me goodbye with a hug and a smile. thanking me for allowing the cycle of the art and life to continue. As they depart, Nithager comes up, a second mother to me, and eats the rot at my feet. As she intakes it, I see it going on to feed others, on for other work, moving on so that I may have space for the new. That's it.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
I like
You work
that a
with
lot.
Rot.
I work with Rod a lot, so
Yeah.
that felt very comfortable. And then the whole artistry. I mean,
I like hearing about Rot in the cycle of rebirth and making new and repairing and fixing.
yeah, I feel like in a lot of pagan spaces, Rod is treated as it should be,
Like a medicine.
like a medicine. It is less of the end of a cycle and more of the beginning of a new.
Right.
And
The breakdown of what doesn't benefit into something that
I
does.
also really like it from the artistic standpoint of that story.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, most of that story I'm looking over at my wife, who's currently drawing in a sketch pad. Like,
I just love the crapness that I created.
I know. Trust me, she'll be there for hours. It's great.
It was mostly a story about the painter in Rust, which is one of the wonders, which again, Indy can talk more about because they will be able to say much more eloquently about them. But Nithog wanted to appear at the end. So
yeah, I would love to hear about that because I've never heard of the painter in Rust.
I mean, all of the wanderers are out of my own kind of spirit taught exploration kind of stuff. After I never really like connected with any other pantheons out there. The idea of them in general is kind of, as I alluded to at the beginning of my story, this idea of if a pantheon is a family, this is a found family. This idea of deities who maybe, were from other pantheons, from other places who didn't quite fit there, who were cast out or wandered away, and then kind of found each other. And then in so doing, like made a place for other people who felt like they didn't fit or, cast out or otherwise. So all of them are things I wouldn't expect to be like, attested to or, find elsewhere. Although they certainly have kind of some of the shapes you might expect. The dancer between is very like liminal. The singer in silence is a bit messengery, but all again, you can't break on any god into one word, right? We all, and the painter in Rust is one that kind of, when I was understanding them, appeared to me like really early. Was also one that I, my own trouble working with, the darker side of things and the ancestors and all that kind of thing it's been really kind of a struggle for me. But they are the ones who takes who they paint with, they paint with entropy. Their actual like work is the breaking down of things, and this idea that you ever look at a beautifully kind of like weathered, rotten, side of a building or tree stump or something that is just that's the brush of the painter in Rust. And they're for me they are kind of the last named in ritual because they are the ones who sort of take everything away. I have prayers the painter in Rust when I had a bad day, and it's like, okay, take this, in this time of ruin, your work goes on and so does mine, basically. So that's what they are to me.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Considering
genuinely.
that painting, mundane painting is a creation of something from. It's meant to bring beauty, like generally speaking, or to shine light on something that needs to be seen. Painter in Rust is the same, but very much the opposite.
Yes.
It's a very deep level of comfort.
Yes.
From something that is inherently maybe societally negative.
Mm-hmm.
But the feeling of the painter in Rust is something that feels inherently positive. I don't know.
They're rough, right? To me, they're really they've got that euphemism, sharp, gentle talent, for the, the same reason that you have kindly ones, right? They feel to me very kind of rough but still beautiful and important, necessary.
Yes. As Melkor said, paint with entropy came down like a hammer. Damn it, it's more homework.
I hope you're taking notes, Melkor.
Well, it's rot. It's
Mhm.
everyone wants to see me wear a mask, and I think God,
I'm gonna vote that's not a tonight thing.
that's not a tonight,
That's not a tonight thing. That's not a tonight thing. That's an eventually thing, but
That's
not
an
a tonight.
eventually thing, and
That's when you do your ritual thing.
yes, that's fine. That is a
We'll get there when we
we'll
get there.
get there when we get there. That is not for this
No.
Yeah.
night. That's not for this podcast. That's not for anything. Yeah. Though I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
That is very sweet.
I want to see him like that hit me like a truck.
Yeah.
That whole
I'm
yeah.
glad.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was
The faces I made, I'm sure, were
Yeah.
and just the rot as a painting
mhm, mhm.
is such a beautiful idea.
The visual I have for that in my brain is just lovely.
Right. It's somehow so nature embedded
Mm-hmm.
while feeling so drastically different from conventional nature.
Yeah.
The wonders are all very, very visceral for me. And though
Yeah.
I'm still very much like getting to know them, they evoke things very, very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only know from hearing Indy talk about it when they were a guest on here, and I've occasionally thumbed through the book that Maleck has, but like I really like hearing about the Wanderers, and it's a thing that I can't quite put my finger on because it feels familiar. And Indy, one of these days I'm going to message you. I just need to figure out how to word correctly.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Just send the message. It's fine.
Tell me
Yeah,
how
like
to
really.
do it.
I think like for reals, I find the best of that comes up from talking about it, right? Actually, not knowing it and sort of talking back and forth is
Yeah,
Is
how I
can
figure stuff
explain
out.
to you verbally, like, hey, I feel this certain way, and I don't have words for the feeling, but it is a strong thing.
It is, for lack of a better way of putting it, like if I wasn't so focused on the tangential work that I have, that would be such a wonderful thing to look into.
Oh, don't worry. There's no.
Okay, there's time
Yeah,
infinite of
there's time.
other things. to look into.
Time.
But also, like a bunch of us are just like circling around Indy, like we will get to you eventually.
We will get to you because
I'm
Well,
gonna get home and just message Indy and be like, eventually is now. Let's
yeah, it hit me seriously.
Abra and other things.
Yeah, well, and like we're over here volunteering ourselves as teachers, and we're like, wait, we have things to do first.
Well,
Oh, first? Oh, y'all are fucking adorable. Y'all can do it at the same time. It'll be okay.
yeah.
Bold
that's
of
the
you
thing.
to assume I have that kind of patience and focus.
I am working
Oh, I
with-
don't think it has anything to do with your patience or focus. I think that you have
I
capacity.
do not need to look into a different form of that right now.
Also, you're done with your initiation. You got all kinds of time.
Don't doing that. That you know of.
Yeah, done with the initiation is our famous last words.
Yeah. And look, there's another one.
Or look, here's a bunch more work that
You
you,
know
need
what
to
this
bring
is?
back.
You know what work is for pagans? It's like being on the road trip and being like, oh, look, a horse. Oh, look, a cow. Oh, look, another one. Oh, look, another one. Oh, look.
I mean, stay right.
None of that is wrong.
That's homework for pagans. It's like, oh, I just saw the one. There's another.
It's about which homework you decide to tackle.
This is true.
Speaking of things of homework to tackle, I'm going to read the Lorewood stories.
Yes.
Is there meta narrative or no?
There is not, and there is not for a reason. I have to go.
Okay.
I'm leaving this in your care. So you are free to add as you see fit, how you see fit, with the caveat that I have to write the ending.
Okay. I will probably do all of mine spoken because writing it frankly takes too fucking long and my handwriting's atrocious anyway.
Do you want to leave Jason in charge of meta narrative?
Uh,
Jason's a writer now.
Jason can write it. I'll speak it.
That's
At least
fine.
you're
Dictate.
leaving
That's
part.
fine. I can dictate.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be in cursive either.
Dick.
Wow. Thanks. There.
The one thing that can't be-
That's fine. Yeah, because will you be back?
No,
No,
I'll
okay.
be writing the ending tomorrow.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you,
having
Kat.
Yeah.
You're
No.
awesome.
me. But yeah, I'll write the ending because there's a very specific ending.
Sure, that's fine.
So
I will do my best.
Yes.
My dog wanted attention, and
worst case, I listen and rewatch the end of this, and I write the meta narrative.
That honestly will probably be your best
Yeah.
bet.
Honestly, please record the meta narrative, and we'll.
How about this then? I will leave that, and if you feel like you need to add or write anything down, it's there to do so, and I can just.
Yeah. We'll see. There may be a transcribed version of this podcast with the meta narrative inserted in the correct time slots. We're gonna see about that. That's the thing I would like to do, but timing is hard because we all have
if you
life.
give me the video files, I should be able to do that in between breaks at work.
I absolutely I will do my best to try to do
Because
that.
I have DaVinci Resolve as a thing I can do.
If you
Sweet.
can do that, I will type up the meta narrative and send it to you.
Go for it.
You want to take?
I can't guarantee on when it'll get done because work has been a little stupid
Oh
lately.
yeah,
but
no, this is
No,
a timeline.
like yeah, no, it's
Okay.
that's a
Huh?
Okay.
Yep.
I
Thanks.
need the restroom, get myself packed up. This, do you mind if I leave this?
Leave whatever you want.
There's just put it all in the bag as long
Yeah.
as I pull
No,
out.
no worries.
All right.
There is one piece of meta narrative for the narrator leaving.
Yes, but it's the end of the story. So
It's the end of the story.
No, there's a piece for you leaving,
I
and then
know.
there's you at the end is
No,
fine.
no, it's not a linear timeline.
Yeah, no, there's a piece for you walking away from the story.
I know that. The Traveler is my name in that, but there's a thing for me. There's a name, and I will give it to you at the end.
Okay, that's I've still got a piece to say right now.
Say the piece.
My brain is just like, I don't know if this is okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
We're
Oh.
good.
Yeah, it's because it's not you specifically. It's a speaker leaving.
Okay.
You also don't have to be here for this.
I just heard heavy breathing.
It's just Sarenth.
That's Sarenth.
Yeah, it's
That's
Sarenth.
just me. I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
fine.
making sure it's okay.
Yep. During the night, speakers came and went, each in their own time and at their own pace, some for a time and then returned, and some went on their way and were not seen by this group again, at least for a while. Their stories and their voices were missed. Dearly, truly missed. But such is the nature of night and time and fires and stories that more stories were told. And while their place was missed, that is life. And the stories continued on. Some even told in their stead, because they could not. No, but really, the spirit of the meta narrative here is hard.
The story comes from Lorewood, the Hall of Names.
I love how y'all started talking and like your camera completely blurred.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's fine.
Love it. Yep. Nope. That tracks.
Clearly not very well. You should be in sharp focus.
Oh, anyways. There once was a young boy who happened upon an old woman. So old was she that her back was bent with age, and she had only a cane to steady her. The young boy could only make out her fingers, gnarled like tree roots, peeking out from a black tattered cloak. Surely, the boy thought to himself, this is the oldest woman I have ever met. And in a way, he was correct. So old was the woman that her very throat could no longer give shape to words. All she could do was beckon, and the boy followed. This was not a journey a young boy and an old woman would have been able to make in good time, yet they did. Over hills, through valleys, across rivers they walked, and every pace they traveled through grew quiet, the land itself seeming to take note of the travelers, and nothing dared obstruct the path. It was just as the young boy felt he could no longer take another step, that a set of double doors appeared on their path. The young boy lifted his chin as high as he could. The top of the doors reached further still, and oh, how they gleamed. Never had the young boy seen gold, but surely these doors could be made of nothing else and carved so elaborately and with such skill the young boy had remembered how to breathe again. When the old woman walked through the doors, the young boy rushed to her side to help, but such actions were unnecessary as they simply eased upon the old woman's approach. Surely the treasure hold or glorious kingdom is kept beyond these doors, the young boy thought. And, dear reader, I must say, the boy wasn't necessarily wrong. Beyond the gleaming golden doors were books. Round pillars in the middle of the room with books, walls of shelving laden with books, the floor to the ceiling itself, which was so tall a young boy could not make out the end, were rows upon rows of books. All were bathed in warm lamplight glow as they themselves beamed with life. The old woman ignored these and continued deeper into the library. The young boy followed, head turning this way and that, and they walked past the books, then the scrolls, then the tablets of stone and clay, until finally the old woman stopped. They were deeper in the library now. The young man could still see they were no closer to the end than the beginning of the passage still stretched on before them. Yet the old woman had stopped there for a reason. From the black cavern of her hood, the young boy knew she was looking at him, but he did not know what she wanted now. The longer he stared into the vast darkness beyond the edges of her cloak's hood, the colder he felt, until it seemed to nip at his very bones. And then, footsteps. As the young boy and the old woman turned to see an ostentatiously dressed person holding a tablet and stylus approach them. The young boy was very confused. Was this person a court jester? A puppet loose from the strings? The swaying, fluttering pieces of green and pink and orange were almost too bright and garish to look at. Instead, the young boy looked at their face, half covered by a mask, but at least the silver sheen of it wasn't as bright as the rest of them. "Why, hello there," they said, addressing the boy and woman as one. "Came for a name, I expect." The old woman nodded, but the young boy shook his head. From under the mask came a smile. "Ah, I see." They turned fully to the young boy now and got down to explain things properly. "This is the Hall of Names. Every name that's ever been has been recorded here. And I am the caretaker of the Hall of Names." They gestured the stylus of the old woman. "And she is your greatest grandmother, whose name has been forgotten. Amongst these records, her name may be found, but that is your task alone." And so, having done their part in making this quest clear, the caretaker left to continue on with their duties elsewhere. The young boy looked helplessly back at his grandmother, but she could not tell him where her name was, for so many centuries had passed since it had been last known, yet alone uttered. Having received all the help he possibly could, the young boy picked up the closest record to him and began to read. And dear reader, this is where we reach the longest part of the story for the young boy. For you see, the materials in this part of the hall were so old that the very act of touching them could disintegrate them, and all the names written down there would be lost forever. And the boy, though young, was incredibly dutiful, and was a delicate balance between speed and care in handling. These records he made sure to read each and every name. For every name spoken from his lips gave life to. His name had a face, a story, and he read them all. Every record he finished between his hands, as if the very material that the names had were written on was also given new life. They certainly felt sturdier when he put them back and grabbed another to begin anew. As I said, dear reader, this is the longest part of the story. Even I can't say whether or not the young boy is still there in the hall, reading. But I do have the advantage of knowing his end of the story, even if it has not yet experienced to him. And so I will tell you myself. The boy does read the name of his greatest grandmother. And soon her name was given shape by his lips, life from his breath. She breathed again. Gnarled fingers became strong and purposeful. Hunchback straightened and stiff tendons became limber once more. The great Tedder Cross was cast off to reveal a goddess of good fortune. She is the goddess of this place. His very first ancestor ever lived, and so he is her greatest grandson. Strong once more, she was now able to bring fortune and prosperity to him and his family, as is right and proper. But what about all those others the young boy gave renewed life by reading their name? That, dear reader, is a story for another time. And if you should happen upon the Hall of Names by chance, say hello to the caretaker.
How you doing?
Good.
Okay.
Well, we got one from Finn when we're ready.
Yep. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. I'm going to take a hit of this honey whiskey, and then I will read Finn's. Skull, Finn.
Oh.
Woo.
Give us just a second for Jason to ground out.
I'm good. I
ready?
really want to read that one too.
I'm glad you did.
Me too. Thank you.
That had a good resonance. I like it. I like it a lot.
And I will say, before we start with one more story, I am sad to say that Caitlin Stormbreaker could not be with us tonight. We do miss her voice here.
Same.
But, you know, that is life. That's how that goes. And
Yeah.
you know, there will be other times and other fires and other stories.
Always is. That's the beautiful part about these sacred fires is they're all connected. We'll hear your voice sooner or later.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
It was a moonlit night, the air thick with anticipation as I ventured into the sacred grove. The ancient oaks stood tall, their branches reaching toward the heavens as if beckoning me to enter their realm. As I stepped deeper into the grove, a sense of reverence washed over me. I could feel the presence of something powerful, something ancient, and then I saw him. There amidst the shadows stood Freyr, the guardian of the grove. His figure was tall and majestic, his aura radiating warmth and vitality. I could sense the wisdom and ancient knowledge emanating from him. With a mixture of awe and respect, I approached Freyr, my heart pounding in my chest. He looked at me with eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe, and I knew I was in the presence of something extraordinary. In that sacred space, Freyr and I connected on a deeper level. He taught me about the cycles of life, the importance of nurturing the land, and the interconnectedness of all beings. We spoke of bountiful harvests, the joy of nature's abundance, and the need for balance in our lives. Together, we performed a ritual to honor the grove and its inhabitants. We offered our gratitude for the gifts of the earth and the blessings bestowed upon us. It was a moment of profound connection, a merging of energies between myself and Freyr. As I left the grove that night, I carried with me a newfound appreciation for the natural world. Freyr had shown me the way to celebrate and embrace the magic that resides within us and all around us. Since that encounter, I've continued my journey, seeking the sacred in everyday life. And whenever I find myself in nature, I remember the lessons learned in the grove and the bond forged with Freyr, the guardian of the sacred grove. Thus, Duhail.
That's Ohio. Prayer prayers always leave you feeling nice and full.
Right?
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing, actually. All right, little bit of meta narrative here. Both all at once and gradually, piece by piece, each looked at the other, teacher, herald, wanderer, priest, traveler, stranger, all. Even the mother of wolves howled this truth. The night was alive. The power pooled deep and thick, catching like wax around the embers of their fire, their stories shared. And they knew, in this dark and secret time, known only by them and those who know how to listen, who know how to speak just so. Now was a time when secret things might be said. Not hidden mysteries as such, that secrets shared from a time not yet here. Dear listener, a time yet to be. Myths and tales of the future, perhaps. Not of the time oft yet for and never has been, but rather a time truly yet to come, and beckon it closer and truer. And so they spoke, softly into each other, hope in their hearts, light on their tongues, power in their mouths, though they were soft to acknowledge it, lest they scare it away. Yet speak they did, because hope is an important thing, a thing grasped carefully and coaxed gently into the light. And now, for both speaker and listener, if you have things yet to come, stories for the future, things that you will to be, now is the time to speak them.
Oh. Yes.
Softly yet, brother. Softly yet.
Would you know more? Would you know more?
Yeah, I know my whistle button.
Would you know more? The soft refrain of the vulva, the gentle nudge of fate. Would you know more? Would you know more? Would you know more? Beckoning the listener deeper and deeper still, beckoning the hearer further and further on. It is not a trap. It is knowledge. It is not a snare. It is knowing. Whether from the mouth of an oracle, the eyes of a seer, the hands of a diviner, the future is in flux and the future is yours. Would you know more? Would you know more? Would you know more? That sacred charge, that beautiful question. Would you know more? Would you know more? Would you indeed know more? Hail to those who parse, who see, who divine. Hail to those who sniff out, who seek, who say longing. Would you know more? Would you know more? Would you know more? Hail to all of you, before, betwixt, and between, you who see the paths forward, you who see the paths behind, you who see clearly, you who see firstly, second, and third. Hail to you, and thank you. Let's do Heil.
Would a wanderer speak, or a mother howl? A herald proclaim?
Oh, the wanderer has many stories. Would you hear them, son?
The wanderer
Good.
wisdom to share.
Oh. Hard won, hard fought, and sometimes stupid sought.
Always.
Yeah,
Stupid sought, that is my call.
My goodness.
You know me too well, brother dear. You know me too well.
Oh, yes.
Pictures one may never see a greater pair.
Wonder if you have stupid sought tales to tell me.
Oh, goodness, goodness. Maybe not so good. So, a long time ago in my youth, when I thought I had much more bronze than balls, I was approached by a court unseelie. And they said, "Have we a contract for you?" And I said, "Indeed. What is this?" They said, "One of our own has decided that he was going to take matters into his own hands." I said, "Oh, this cannot stand. Dear me, what can I do for you?" What? As I said, stupid sought. So, said this unseelie visitor, The contract we have for you, Odinson, and I said, aye. A favor we shall owe if you do this thing. Oh, indeed. So, sought I their errant child, sought I across field and fen, across swamp and snow, sought I this Varger. Outlaw for those who don't speak the tongue. And time out of mind I sought, day and day and day. Stupid because I risked my Hummer. Stupid because they didn't tell me precisely what I was hunting. Stupid because I should have gathered more information. And stupid because I trusted before I saw. So, you should know before you sit down to a contract who you deal with, what you deal with, and the subject. I hope you learn, because I did. Tumbling across the forest that I found that creature in. More I shall not say, because that is between the court and I. But suffice to say, learn from my example and do not be stupid. Ask questions, don't just take. Think, don't just do. Question, don't just accept. I paid for that mistake in spades. I hope you learn. I hope you learn. I genuinely fucking hope you learn.
And Odin's son with full mistake. Who would have thought this tale is told? I know I'm shocked.
So am I. Simmer, simmer.
Make an open call for wanderers, Maleck. This is what you get. I knew it was going to happen the first time you said it. So the first time you said it, I'm like,
Careful, careful.
Hey,
Yeah.
I didn't name the Wanderer.
exactly.
I said Wanderer.
Yeah.
You know. And it's not as though there aren't wanderers abounding in this room.
All right.
But it is.
Really quick. Oh, the games of the Fae. They have never spoken lies to me, but only answered directly the questions I have asked. So Sarenth says ask questions, but I will ask deeper questions. Hey, Finn, if you've got deeper questions, put them in the chat.
Yes, the one who holds the deeper court walk away, and then of course the questions of the Fae.
Funny mentioning the Fae, one of my inspirations for going deep into the Wanderer stuff was reading, is it Morgan Daimler who has the Fae Pantheon?
Yes.
That sounds correct. Hang on.
Yes,
They're not the only one, but yes, they have probably what would be the most forward-facing version.
Yeah, I believe
I think
so.
they were the ones who I learned the just the unattested Pantheon from. So
Yes. Okay, that specific. I'd say yes. That would be Morgan Daimler. However, there are a plethora of others, some better, some worse. That's as someone who doesn't work closely with them, Morgan Daimler is definitely the one that I know of.
Yeah, I think it was just giving props to them for just giving me the inspiration and example that you can just find a pantheon and write about them, and then things happen sometimes.
Well, anyone given attention is one who will most of the time respond.
Oh yeah. I think you talked about stories yet to be told,
Yes.
and I feel like I have to mention two that I don't know that I want to, that I know are going to happen, that I know they may be the same story, maybe different ones. There's a story of what it means that the rivers are still there, and there's a story of the dancer and the moon. And I don't know much about them, but I wanted to mention them here for the sake of people bugging me about them if you don't hear more about it soon.
If you would tell a tale, tell a tale, and if you would not, that is fine.
I don't
And
know them yet. That's the problem. I
if the story is incomplete,
That's also fine.
such is fine.
If you wish to tell one, I would love to hear the Dancer of the Moon.
I'd love to hear it too.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because for me, the moon represents Persephone, and that would be a beautiful thing to hear.
Yeah, these are ones like the way this works. These are things I don't actually know the stories yet. I know that the stories exist, and it's like I need to figure out the stories. So they are tales yet to be told in that sense.
Reaching out to grab them is it takes time. It's hard.
Yeah, it does.
We've been going for almost a little over 2.5 hours. I don't know if you wish to move it to after party or not.
I have at least one story of the future, but I wanted to at least give time if anyone else had stories they wanted told.
The only thing I have left is a prayer.
I have a short little bit, not necessarily a story. And then I have something else that I'll probably share in the after party.
Okay. Emily, if you wanted to go first, and then Jason, and then I'll close us out.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Hail to the bricklayer, hail to the bread maker, hail to the wood carver, hail to the storyteller. Hail to those who hear gods in their ears. Hail to those who feel the gods in their hands. Hail to those who know the gods in their hearts. No one of these is best or worst. Every skill has a use for the gods, if you but choose to serve them with it.
That's still high. And in very close vein. Hail to you, the way watchers, those of the living and those who are gone. Whether you be Hermes and the Herms, those of the crossroads of those of the long path, we give grace to you as we walk along upon our own. Hail to you, those who guide the dead, Charon on your boat, Eros and Thanatos and Hermes, of those who bring the dead to there. Those of Hermes and Osiris and Anubis and his many jackals. Hail to you and blessing of those who are simply walking, whether it be the path of the current life, those of the next life, or those of the life soon after. We are all walking, tied to the strings of fate. We all make decisions that bend or break. But we are all walking a path. And it is comfortable to know that there are those who sit there and watch the path to keep it clear of obstacles and obstructions. Maybe not all of them, but those that are presented to us are those for us to conquer and push on and push through, or to simply give a lesson, maybe of asking for help, maybe of camaraderie, or maybe just to be, well, maybe this is where the path actually does end. And all are okay, because the Wave Watchers will make sure that, well, if this is the right place to stop, maybe it's the place to stop. If it's the place to keep going, they will help us clear it. The Way Watchers. May they see us. May they keep over us. May we give them thanks. Blessings and hail.
May I do a closing one as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're good.
Thank you. You of joined songs in many limbs, you who inspire grand designs and tend to simple needs, you who see the worth of all work that supports and sustains, thank you for being with us as we've been more together than we could be apart. You have brought strength to our hands, focus to our minds, and connection to our hearts. May we all find our place within the words you inspire, honoring our individuality within the panoply of together work. Swift-fingered harmony calling, verdant shining, thank you for working through us and with us, so that what we build together will be strong and useful. May it carry us through the work of celebration and rest on the other side, knowing that we've done all we could and no more. Crafter of wonders, be with us.
Blessings and hail to the future. All right, ready to play us out?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
One last story, and then the last bit of meta narrative, and then we will move on to the after party if folks are fine with that. The last story for the night is named We the People, a Myth of the Future. Let me talk this and not cry it through, please. Thank you. It was a dark time, as it often is, a time of hungry children and sickly elders. The common people were bent with toil, and their leaders drank rich blood from the earth. There was no prophecy pointing to a hero to come and save the day, no cryptic foretelling of what might overthrow the old order and usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. And yet, as is often the case, a hero came anyway. And their name was We the People. They were born in a place at a time. It was a very normal place for the time. And it was a very normal time for the place. And they had a life, and they had challenges, and they grew, and they misunderstood, and then they understood. Or they understood, and then they misunderstood, as the case is, and things go as they may. And they grew, and some things they knew, and some things they misknew. But the people in charge seemed to want them to misknow, and seemed to want them to misunderstand. And for a while there was hate in their heart, and they did not understand why they were so angry at their neighbor and their friends. And they thought and they thought, and they listened and they listened, and their leaders kept saying that things would change, and this time it would be different, and this time was the most important. Over and over they heard these words, until one day they looked to themselves, and they looked to their elders, and they looked to the children, and they realized there was no one coming. This time was not different. There was no one coming. coming to save them. The hate in their heart for neighbor and friend and family and foe was false. And no one was coming to save them. And this hero, who was not prophesied and was not meant to be, and to all the powers that be should never have been, because they feared it so, that they worked so hard to ensure that this hero would never be and would never know their name or their power or their place on the throne. This hero knew. Then, slowly and in pieces, that no one was coming to save them. That truly they were all there was. And so slowly, to the bully in the playground, and the preacher in the pulpit, and the politician at the podium, and the wolf at the door, and the knife at their throat, and the boot on their neck, they stood up, and they said no more. My name is We the People, and we will not take this. And they linked arms with their fellows. I said, please don't let me cry through all of this. Thank you. See, you can't do this alone. And they said, no more. No more children buried under cities. No more teachers dead in classrooms. No more. Because there is no one coming to save us. No more. Thank you all for listening. Didn't end how I thought it was going to. That's okay. All right, I need a break for about 30 seconds, and then I'll be back with
Put the jester back on screen. It's fine.
All right.
I really appreciate everybody that has shown up to share, that is in digital or other formats, given their stories to share. And again, as a reminder, until the end of January, the Storytelling Fire channel in our Three Pots Discord is available for anybody that wants to share a story. It doesn't matter how light or how dark it is, how medium or how gray it is. Please share what you have to share.
Thank you. Indeed, please share as you will, as you want, as you wish. It doesn't have to feel important. It can be light. It can be silly. It can be as deep and moving as you wish. At the end of January, we will archive that panel, and no one will be able to edit it until the end of the Discord. Technically, Sarenth and I will be able to edit it, but we won't. So
yeah, we won't.
that's kind of the nature of the beast. There is one last bit of meta narrative for the end of the night, and of course, naturally, our camera is,
That's fine.
Yeah. All right. To close us out, if everyone is ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we will see anyone who is available and wants to in the after party after this. At the end of the night, Just as the sky was beginning to lighten, a voice spoke from beside the traveler. Those were very good stories, good food for one's soul. The figure sat comfortably, a book perched in their lap and a writing pen in their hand, looking all the while like they'd been there the whole night. The traveler nodded, smiling warmly as he poked at the fire. They were indeed. Did you get them all written down? Do I need to retell any? The keeper of stories chuckled. Oh, I got them, safe and recorded, ready to be given to someone in the future should they ever be forgotten again. Still, you should retell them anyway. To any and all that will listen, stories live as long as they are remembered, and they should live for many, many generations yet, teaching the lessons, inspiring dreams, and reminding us of the important things in life. These are important stories. The sun broke over the horizon, and with a final smile, the keeper of stories disappeared, back to the duties of inspiring others to tell their stories, and to come, perhaps to this fire, another day.
Yeah.
Hail. Thank you all for being here. Pack warmness and keep us all. Let's go home.
Hail, sons and daughters of Muspelheim, hail fire itself, hail eldest ancestor, hail Suna, hail Loki, hail Glut, hail Logi, hail Certus, and Mora. Hail, eldest ancestor, hail Mikkel Eldevator, hail Eldevator. Hail to all the fires we have kept, all the fires we will keep, and all the fires that will keep us. As through Heil.
I had cake and bless. We have two right now, so.
Yeah. Hail to the fire keepers. Hail to the pack fire. Hail to the alcohol spirits who loosened our tongues and let us tell these stories as well as we are able. And thank you to all of you, dear listeners, who participate as much or more by hearing these tales as we do by telling them. Thank you. Pack warmness and keep us all. Let's Ohio.
So we